in this video we're going to be looking at how we can manipulate different strings, and we'll be having various examples. So I'll go ahead and create a file, and then we'll call that class. I'll call that class 3.py. And in this video we're going to be creating we're going to create a string. I'm going to call this string name origin, and this would be United States. Now this happened to be a string, and we can also have another string, and I'll say the string is a name. I'll be calling this hope. Now we have actually assigned this string United States, and we save it in the origin. We also assign hope, we save it as name. We can one of the manipulation we can do to this item is to break hope into various parts, and then we can assign each letter to the various option of hope. So I can say Y or X, Y, Z, and I can say K. Then I want that to be equals to name. Now in this case here, hope has been assigned to name, and I have these values assigned to this. Now I want you to take note. If I were to say Y equals to name, my Y should also be hope, because this is a variable, and this here would also be a variable. And since this variable here is carrying hope, then this place will automatically be hope. So hope will be stored inside a new variable called Y. Now in this case here, this place is meant to be a new variables for whatever values that is coming in here. Now remember that name is assigned hope, so hope will automatically appear here. Now what happened here is that since I have the total number of variables here to be equals to the total number of values that is coming out at this place here, then each letters will be assigned to each variables that are present here. Let's take for example, just to give you a good example of what I'm trying to say. So we can have this Y. Just to tell you, this should be assigned H, and Y should be assigned O, because those letters will be broken down into 4 places, then they'll be assigned to this value here. So I'm going to come here and run my code. Let's give it a time, please. Voila, there you go. You see I printed X and Y, and X is assigned H and Y is assigned O. Now this is different ways you can manipulate your string. This is one way you can actually manipulate your string. Now you see I manipulated my string by breaking this variable into various by breaking this variable to pieces. Now one thing you should note when you are using this, because this item here will be unpacked and then it will be assigned to these variables here, you have to make sure that the number of text string that is present here has to be equivalent to what we have here. Now if they are not equivalent, now I have 3 items here. This place would unpack 4 values. Now since they are not equal, it's going to give me an error. Now if you notice, this error message is telling me here, it's telling me that too many values to unpack. Expected 3, but 4 was given. So our value is now 4 items when we were expecting 3 items to be unpacked from here. So with that, you have to make sure that the value we have here is equivalent to the items we have here. So I'm just going to put it here. One of the conditions to make this successful, one of the conditions to make this successful condition to make this a success is an equal amount of values assigned to variable. So we want an equal amount of value to be assigned to variable. Okay, so if you have that, then you are going to have your items successful. Now there are cases where you might not want to have that. Let's say you needed to make use of few items or you have your database and then your database is unpacking a large number of items, but you only need 2 of them. So I have X, Y, Z here. Now I do not want other items, I only want X and Y, and then the remaining one should be assigned to this list of items Z. Now in this case, what happened is that my asterisk I placed here will assign every other item to Z and only pick my X and Y and then assign to H and O. In this case, this will still go, but we will now have our Z to have other items here, so we can make use of this too. Then I just want to show you that the remaining letters will be assigned to Z. So if I run this here now, you will see the remaining letters are assigned to Z and they are in form of list. Okay, so you can do it this way, and then you can also do it this other way. So this can still work whichever way you put it. Now Y will be assigned all the values. So if you try to print out Y here, you see Y will be having O and P, YZ will be having E. Now these are just different ways you can actually manipulate your string. Now what we got here is different from you having 2 separate strings assigned to values. And let's say I have X and I have Y here, and then I have a name here, string name. This part here I have Joy or John, comma, and then I have Williams. Now in this case here, X will be assigned to John and Y will be assigned to William. So if you come here and print X here, you would see that X is assigned John, and then your Y will be assigned Williams automatically. So this is another way your item could be divided. Now I can also have my X to be equals to John, comma, Williams. Now you'll be wondering, will this work? Yes, this will work, but my X will become a tuple, containing these two items. So if I'm trying to create a tuple, then this is the best way you can also create a tuple. If you unpack a list of items from database and you do not want that data to be altered at any point, then you can do this. This will unpack your text and then it will pack them inside the variable as a tuple. Alright, now these are various ways you can actually manipulate your text. You can break them down, your string rather, you can break them down in different ways. Now there's another ways that you can use to manipulate your strings, and in that case you'll be using your strings object. Now whenever you create an item, whenever you assign a value to a variable, whatever value you assign to a variable is going to belong to a particular class in Python. So that variable could belong to a string class. It could also belong to an integer class. It could also belong to a boolean, a float. It could belong to a list. It could belong to any class in the Python. So whatever item you pass into your variable, that item belongs to a class in Python. Now let's take, for example, if I have an item called x equals to Williams. Right now my item here belongs to a class called strings. Now just to give you a good understanding of what I'm trying to say, I can have my x1 here, okay, and I can now have this object here. This item you are seeing here is the class that this strings belongs to. So this belongs to this. Now in this case, this is an object, and this you can refer to it as a value. So this value belongs to this object group, or it belongs to this class. I hope that is very clear enough. So no matter the kind of objects I create, once they are quoted, they belongs to this class here, strings. It belongs to the class string. Alright, now in this case you'll be wondering what these values will contain. Now this variable rather would become a variable that has its attributes to be a string attribute, because it has become the object of a class here. So whatever attributes or whatever behavior or whatever method that is in this would also be assigned into this. The only difference is that this will be an empty string variable that can take in string items, and then this particular one here is an object which is a string value itself. Now this can have different attributes. So if I say x1, this can have different attributes. Now how do you access the attributes of a class? Because normally a class, how do I access the attribute of a class? So if I use dots here, you'll see these are various attributes of a class. One of them is your capitalize. Now you will see this now has these attributes capitalized because it has been assigned an object the object is the string. Now, does this variable have the same attributes? Yes, it does. If you want to find out if it does, then just say x dot. You will see it has those various attributes. So what I'm trying to say here is that whatever values you entered, if they are quoted, they belongs to this group, and this particular class would assign different attributes to that object. Yes. Now let's look at the various attributes you can find in the class object. We've first of all touched the class objects. We've touched the capitalize. Yes, so I can decide to convert Williams to uppercase. So I can say y, I want y to be equals to I want y to be equals to x dot capitalize, or rather upper, guess what? Our y will become an uppercase. So if I execute this here, you will see my y will become an uppercase here. Now if I want my y, if I want my value to be lowercase, I can still do the same thing. I'm gonna say k equals to x dot lower, k, and then I run this. You'll see everything will be in k, in lowercase. I can also want them to be in capitalized, which means I want the first value to be in uppercase while others is in lowercase. Here you see that is exactly what happened there. Now, is that the only attributes or behavior that can have? No, that's not all. We can also have other items. We want to verify if it is lower. I'll say is lower. Now in this case here, this item would return true or false. If it's lowercase, it's going to return true. If it's uppercase, then it's return false. So this is true because x here is in lowercase. So if I change this to uppercase or capitalize, let me see. I want to change this to capitalize and execute this. This will turn to false because it's in capitalized case. So just to be clear, you can use some of these items to work on your text. Now, to have a good picture of how strings work, I would like to divide these attributes into 3 different areas. The first one, I'll be categorizing this the behavior or the attributes into 3 different areas. The first one I'll call is the attributes that return an integer. So you could have a string attributes that would return an integer when you are using them. For example, if I want to find out if there is a particular letter in my items, I can say item number so I can say x dot find one. Oh, sorry, I want to find I want to find letter I. Now if I print item number here, this will return a letter for me, and is actually returning the first index, or rather the second index. So I have here, this is 0 and this is 1. So just to give you a clearer understanding of that, how that works, I'm actually categorizing them based on what they return. So the find attributes return an integer. So apart from the find attributes, we can also have our index attributes, index number, x.index. I can index a. Now if I print out our index a here, you will see it return 5 here. So you'll see here that this attribute find index is actually returning a number. So just to give you a clearer picture of what we are doing here, we are looking at how they return value. Now another one we want to look at is attributes that return Boolean value. So in this code, there are various attributes that return Boolean value. Let's take, for example, we might want to know if this number ends with a particular character. So I can say item ending x dot ends with, I want to see if it ends with hem. So let's print this out. Before we print that out, let us make the comment this here. So I'm going to say items underscore ends with this. Now if I execute this here, this will tell me false, telling me that my item does not end with hem. Let's see. Okay, so my item ends with s instead. It doesn't end with hem. So we can also verify if my item actually starts with a particular value here. X dot starts with will. So over here I'm going to print out item starting. Okay, I think there's a typo error here. Delete this here. Execute this again. So it's telling me false, that my item does not start with WA. Okay, my items okay, start with capital letter. So let's make this capital letter. Let's see what happens next. So one thing you should know when you are working here is Python is actually case sensitive. Now because this actually start with capital letter, that is one of the reasons why that didn't work. So you should take note of that. Python is very case sensitive. Okay, now we've been able to get that. Now there are a lot of things we can also do with this. We can also check if this item is upper. Item is uppercase. I can say x dot is upper, and then I can try to print this out here. Item is upper. So if I execute this will tell me false, that my item is not in uppercase. Yeah, then you can also check if it is lower. Then you can also check if it is how num. Then you can also check if it is an item. Now imagine I have an email or a password, and the password is actually Indian. And okay, let me increase number here. I want to add number here, 1 2 3 4 5 6. And then I want to actually verify if this is letters and numbers, so I can use my attributes to do that. I can say password valid. So I can say password dot is unknown. Now in this case here, I want to check if this is alphabet and numbers. So if it is alphabet and numbers, then this will tell me true. Otherwise it tell me it's false. So I'm going to execute this here. Now I got true here, and why am I getting true? Because this value contain alphabet and numbers. So sometimes you might want to test if an input that a user entered has numbers and alphabets. This is a very good tool for you to do that. Then you might also want to add in a special character, and you might want to use password validity. I want this to be different from first one. Here I'll say password dot spelling correct. Password dot I want to ASIL numbers. Now this character under validity. Now this will return true also, and the reason why this is returning true is because we have various characters that is available here. Then this other one is returning false here. This is returning false here because this is no longer a number and letters. These now have special character. So sometimes when you are writing your code, this might also be another way you can validate your user entry when they enter their password. So you might want to show that what they entered actually has these characters. Okay, so these are actually values that return Boolean value. There are a lot of it here. You can just use your just type in your password dot, you will see a lot of them here: count, index, find, and the rest. There are quite a lot here, so take your time and explore all those options there. Then we also have you could also have your attributes that return string, attribute that return string. So we have attribute that return strings, and you might want to test them out. So let's see the first one here. So I'll just create another one here because so we have some attribute that can also return string value. For example, if I have an email present here, so I can say my email would be equals to Haxora 123 at gmail.com. And over here, why I can search for I can actually use this to find out let's see what we can use here. Okay, so I saw one interesting one which we have not make use of. Let's make use of strip or split rather. Let's make use of splits. So we can split our items into various parts, and we can split them using the @ symbol or whichever. So if I print my Y here and I run this here, you will see right here that value has been splitted into two. So @ has actually been used as a delimiter for separating these two values. You can use anything to separate values. So there could be your values that is joined together by an empty space or something, and then you want to split them. You could actually use this item to do that. Now ironically, this is not actually string, this is actually return a list now, but I hope you understand the point I'm trying to make here. I'm trying to tell you that this will come out as a string. So we have string here and another string here. Now you could also have a value like this. Let me say x equals to Williams, John, James, and Paul, and we also have Jake. Now you could break these items by using the split. So I can say my Z will be equals to x dot, I want to split the item with an empty space. So now I have an empty space within here. If I print out my Z here, you will see over here that my Z as will become a list of items that is separated with the empty space. So you will see here that we have our text join together. Yeah, so I hope this helps. So you can go ahead and explore various uses of your attributes. Please subscribe to our channel, and in the next video we'll be looking at another class of item and how to use them. Thank you very much for your support. I'm very tired. Let me take a rest. Tomorrow we'll continue. Bye for now, guys. Love you.